Alright, good evening everybody, and welcome to The Gathering Presents Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory, Howl of the Lost, Part 1, Across the Wastelands. So, when we left off our little introduction during our session 0, the current group of characters that you are about to witness, a pair of Kroot, a Drukhari witch, and an orc. A weird boy, to be specific. Are hired by the illustrious rogue trader dynasty house Arlian to go to the planet Sylvanas, a planet that has been long ravaged by war, although now sits as a stark reminder of the kind of destruction that can be caused by the weapons of the 41st millennium, in order to find an artifact of immeasurable power called the Tesseract. A handsome reward has been offered for such a thing. But whether those who capture it decide to actually hand it in, or to take it for their own nefarious purposes, remains to be seen. During our session 0, we had an introduction to these four wonderful characters, and the basis of beginning their exploration of Sylvanas, specifically going into a bar to find a brawler's ring going on. The first prize being a map of just some of the underground infrastructure left behind from the war. And a Land Raider, so that one might travel around and be confronted by nothing due to the fact that, well, Land Raiders have guns. Specifically, this one is equipped with a pair of Storm Bolters. Or at least I believe they come with Storm Bolters. They may be Hurricane Bolters, I'll have to look. Pretty sure they're Storm Bolters, though. They're not Storm Bolters, they're Heavy Bolters. Of course, this isn't all that happened. There was quite a large amount discovered in the first, well, I suppose it was an hour and a half of play. Specifically that one poor, the big schmuck that they had taken down, a slob by the name of Big Jimmy, was not all that he seemed. And that the barker for the fight not only knew this all too well, but seemed a little off himself. Speaking of Big Jimmy and how he was taken down, it seemed also that the crowd had taken exception to the way that the group had tackled the big guy. And, well, let's just say that a particular Drukhari took exception to that. So now, there are members of the small population, human population of Sylvanas, now enslaved under the Drukhari, and quite a large amount more dead. Walls painted with viscera and other miscellanearies, as the crowd decided that they wished to get rather rowdy. Before we jump into where we left off, I would like to give a shout out and a big thank you to Coffee Cat Presents, not only for doing this wonderful overlay, but for also for adding this other way, for also adding this great logo right next to right next to my camera that you can see. That was all his work, and I am very thankful to him for doing that for me. So thank you very much, Coffee. You could also find him on Wednesday evenings running a game called San Antonio by Night, played in by myself and our dear Drukari player Macabre Derek. Check it out, it's great. Anywho, with my shameless plugging and chilling out of the way, let us get into the first proper installment of Wrath and Glory, Howl of the Lost. Farashi, I'm going to start with you because there is a little bit of housekeeping that we need to bring up. You would have processed your slaves in the correct way because Matron Succubus didn't raise no quitter. And of course, well, you have slaves for that. And if you don't have slaves, well, you have your little devotees to do that for you. However, in the time that it's going to take to prime these slaves for transportation and everything like that, your Hekatari combat drugs are going to wear off. Which means you're going to be suffering withdrawal, because that happens pretty much immediately. After they wear off, that happens pretty much immediately. So let me just get up the effect of what that withdrawal is. Grab up my cool rulebook and grab up the little homebrew compendium and that one too. Right. So I need this one first. Hectare combat drugs. Right. We are looking at... Alright, so the user may administer a single dose free action which will last for about an hour or until the character takes a regroup. After which withdrawal symptoms set in and the character is reduced to 0 shock until they take a respite. So a regroup is a short rest, a respite is a long one, just so that we're all clear on that. I don't think that means you're exhausted, but if you take any shock, I believe that will put you into exhaustion. But I will just check that to be properly sure. Damage, extra dice and wounds. It's the quick reference. So, shock. Okay. So yes, you're not exhausted, but you are at 0 shock, and if you take more, you will become exhausted.
Well, that's why I have more drugs.
That is why you have more drugs. Exhausted. You are weary from battle. On your turn, you can only walk or crawl, perform basic combat actions with no combat options, or fall back. Additionally, you may not roll determination. Any shock suffered by an exhausted character is immediately converted into mortal wounds. You also have the issue of, if you do become exhausted, I gain a ruin. So yeah, you will be at zero shock for the time being, until you either heal shock via the way that you heal shock in specific beating people, with your bloodying people, murdering them, intimidating them, causing terror, fear, and other such niceties as your kind is known to do. Or, I believe, whilst you cannot regain, you cannot spend Wrath to regain Shock, and you don't regain it on a regroup. Well, yeah. Okay. Yes, I believe you can still regain Shock by a respite, but not via a regroup. But you have your special racial way upon which you regain. Yeah, so you
For
can't.
those not familiar with the Warhammer 40k universe, quite literally, the Drukhari, also known as Dark Eldar, also known as Dark Elves, actually subsist quite literally on pain and suffering. So, in order to end up healing any kind of head damage, or to even maintain my own existence, I need to get creative. Sometimes with the blowtorch and suppliers, but this is the 41st millennium. We have so many more options.
Oh yes, very much so. So yes, you can't recover shock by spending Wrath or through the Medicae skill, but if you do take a respite, you will, so long as it's not interrupted, it will reset your shock to full, just like it would anyone else. But it's only long rests. Ah, twin link las cannons. That's right. Las cannons have batteries, but you needn't worry about that. But no, that's just a little bit of housekeeping to get to move through with. That the drugs have worn off and withdrawal has set in, and it takes a lot out of you using the combat drugs. But then again, you know this. Any Hekatari who uses the combat drugs knows what kind of toll it takes on their lifespan. But you don't care. It's all for the thrill of being better in combat. It's all for the thrill of being able to kill not only faster and more efficiently, but with the grace and exaltation that suits a member of the Drukhari. There's no point in just causing pain. You must do it creatively and do it with style. Because to you, if there is no style, then there is no substance. That is all we have to deal with as far as that is concerned, for housekeeping. Now I pass everything over to you. I will say, your glory is reset at 0. That is what happens upon a session if you do not spend it. And my ruin is, whilst I didn't gain any, is reset to 2. Now, this is where I hand the keys over to you guys. You have a Land Raider with which to travel in, slaves who could operate the Land Raider if Farashi was so willing to make them do so, or forgoing that you have access to your devotees who could pilot the Land Raider for you. One of which stepping up and saying that she has seen one of these vehicles before that she happened to, on a planet far away from here, liberate from the dirty Monkai that was driving it for more glorious purposes. She says something about an orphanage and the dwindling las cannons upon a regular standard Land Raider. And I'm not going to go into any more detail than that.
Suffice it was an epic kick the puppy moment of braggadocious contempt.
Yes, it was an epic kick the puppy moment of braggadocious contempt. But you have the vehicle and someone to drive it, and you have a map of various underground structures and whatnot. Of course, you are here searching for the item, but that may not be all that you can find. And well, this map and planet are very, very large, and as such, you may be able to find something that suits your fancy if you do a bit of exploring through the wastes. You were told specifically, all four of you were told specifically from for you, Farashi, it would be a transmission from the Fang of Entropy. For you, young Gorshmak, it would have been for a transmission from your war boss upon the Planet Smasher, spelled with an A at the end rather than an ER because Wa, obviously. And for the two Kroot, it would be from you would gain your information pure from your Drukari masters, and Cloak from the rogue trader that hired you himself. That surface scans revealed that the Tesseract is not upon the planet's surface. It must be somewhere underground. So you have a planet's worth of bunkers and tunnels and other such things that you could go ahead and go explore to try and find this item, or anything else that may take your fancy. Of course, you were all here for different things. So what is it that you guys would like to do?
Have we caught up with Farashi at this point?
Yes, the three of you would have hightailed it out of there after hearing the klaxon of the Hive City PDF, i.e. the Imperial Guard, coming to find out what's going on. Yeah, you booked it. You booked it fast.
We got our ride. We got our map. I believe we have a destination, and I see no reason to dawdle.
Very well. Which location would you like to plunder first? And you'll kind of open the map for her to examine.
Lethality, what are the options we would end up seeing at this point? Because I don't actually see a map.
Yes, I unfortunately haven't had the chance to prepare my proper map scene. It's kind of broke on me at the moment, so I'm working on that, and we'll have it ready for you next week. But
Alright.
this map is it's a planet-wide map, so there are a lot of different locations on this map that point to different places across the planet, which would take Some are close. Some are only a couple of hours away if you're driving. But, you've got others that would be easily a week in the Land Raiders trek across the wastes, if not more, traveling, like, literally around the planet. There's no water or anything really as far as, like, liquids that would stop you or anything go. Your only main issue would be a massive range of mountains to the northwest if you decided to go in that direction. But you've got a couple of set different locations within a day's journey of the Hive City that you're currently on the outskirts of. One is settled under another Hive City that seems to be ruined. So it's the ruins of a Hive City, and its underhive that are still together, and military installations under that. Or you have a bunker pretty much sitting in the middle of a battlefield, or at least it would look like a battlefield, the perfect place for a battlefield. It's got raised topography on the sides, like around the outside, sort of like a massive but very shallow crater. You have either of those options. And those are within, like, what's within a day's travel.
I feel that the Hive City itself would end up offering more bounty and more information. At the very least, can end up here trying to gain access to their networks and end up seeing what it is that they may know about our prize. However, I'm curious as to what would have left such a crater itself in the wastes. Why is what's all the fuss about? I'd like to end up getting all of, our particular operations done while near the Hive City early, so they can continue scouring the entire city itself and looking for us while we can go out to the wastes. Serves as a distraction just as well as it does for information.
Very well. You would have heard him translating to Orc this entire time. Repeating back your words.
Yep, so, Gorshmak. Pure would be translating this all into Orc for you, so that you would be, basically getting the gist of everything that's going on. And Cloak, given your Kroot biology and the way that your race handles language, you're having no problem picking this up, both from Farashi's, Are you speaking in Low Gothic or Eldari? Farashi?
That would be Low Gothic. I don't need to end up here letting them believe that I'm unable to end up speaking for myself.
Yeah, so, yeah, you'd all understand through the Low Gothic about what it is that's going on and where this Land Raider might be headed in search of more basically more treasure.
More loot.
Yes. So what say you, Gorshmak and Cloak?
Gorshmak levels the Kroot who's translating all the words he can already understand to him with a look of insipid violence. You think Gorshmak not know what elves say? He pauses a moment, rubbing his thumb over the distinct weird boy staff he wields. Gorshmack here for two things, crumpin' and lootin'. Gorshmack go wherever crump and loot be found.
Very well. And you, my compatriot?
Cloak is happy to go along with whatever the larger opinion is, because he doesn't care one way or the other, and it's kind of not up to him ultimately.
All right. Well, if you have something extra to add, by all means.
Oh no, sorry, no, I'm good.
Okay. So, I am getting the impression that you guys are going to head to the ruined Hive City first.
Yes.
Yes. Alright. As such, Oh, did that not spawn? Right. No matter. I have an easy way to fix this.
And we would have picked up the Land Raider.
Yes. And it would be that as yeah, you guys would have picked up the Land Raider. Easy done. And as you do, and begin setting out, Sylvanus is a planet that suffers from some issues. More specifically, outside of certain spots, it's bathed in a pale silver light pretty much all the time. Not that it's not sunlight? Question mark? It must just be an odd aberration of the planet's environment, but there's this thought that kind of crosses that everything's bathed in this pale silver light, and maybe that's how the planet got its name. It wouldn't be unheard of for a planet to be named by such trivial things. And that set everything up perfectly. Good, and good. Now, as you travel through the Wastelands, you get this somber atmosphere kind of falls upon the Land Raider as you see the remnants of war everywhere. For the most part, you see ruined Imperial technology, gunships, other land raiders like this one. The trusty Rhino, which Gorshmack, you and your clan may have liberated quite a number of in the last time you went crumping against the Yumis. There's remnants of technology from many different races abound. As you travel Farashi, you're pretty much certain that leaned up against the plateau kind of crashed nose down kind of crumpled inwards into the side of this plateau wall is an atmospheric raiding ship. A Drukhari raiding ship. With the way that it seems crumpled and destroyed, there's a very high guarantee that none of its inhabitants survive, slaves or otherwise. Pure you see a lot of technology that you recognize. Discarded arc pistols and maybe the mechanical bits of some Skitari lying around. Some crushed other Imperial technology that you would recognize, just mass-produced pattern stuff. So, you know, rhinos, basic gunships, things of that nature, along with some older technology that hasn't been in use for a very long time that is kind of marked by chaos. Things that you would have learned about during your time within the Mechanicus is old technology that is no longer purposed by the modern Imperium. Specifically things like you spot an old combi bolter when that hasn't been in use for at least 10,000 years, or at least that's what the tech priest told you. That it's become obsolete and replaced by the much newer and better Stormbolter. But you also recognize some technology from long within your past. You see a ship. Bomber of some kind. Or at least that's what you remember to be a bomber of some kind. Crumpled in, its top having been smashed by something, maybe a giant fist. And although it's been out here a long time and the howling winds having picked up the sands and ash have kind of eroded it away, you can tell it's a sept symbol. One of the septs of the Tau Empire. The empire that subsumed your race for the greater good, or so they say. You remember it was called a devilfish, that pattern of ship. And that it's been very thoroughly destroyed by something. Gorshmak, you can see across the desolation as you travel. There's a lot of orc stuff here. Stuff that's purely orc. You mean you see the burnt out remains of some trucks. You see something that your war boss called a gore grinder. Actually, much like the gift that you posted, although a little bigger. And with a very, very sharp kind of bladed roller on the front, designed specifically for chopping Yumis into little pieces. Or so he said. You see the burnt out, split up remains of a bomber of some kind. Whether it was a blitzer bomber or a burner bomber, you don't really know, because it's really just the bombs that they install when they somehow get them up in the air. But it was a bomber of some kind. Big, plain, just stapled together with metal plating and wow. And then there are the last few things there. Cloak, you recognize some of the Tau technology lying about. In fact, looking out the right-hand side, you spot a discarded, burnt-out pulse rifle used by a basic member of the fire teams that make up the Tau's main ground force. But as for the rest of it, I would like all four of you to make me either a scholar check or a tech check. Your choice as to which one you'd like to use. Per character, of course. So you could choose to, three of you could choose to use scholar and one could choose to use tech, or you could book two and two, or you could all choose to use one or the other. It's up to you. But you can go ahead and make me one of those two tests. This is also a matter of degrees, so there'll be no complications on these rolls.
I'm going to declare I'm making a scholar roll.
Yep, go ahead.
Regular or assisted?
Regular.
Thank you.
Alright. Farashi got 1. Gorshmak got 1. Piror got 2. Cloak got 4. So the difficulty was DN was 3, so this is actually going to go to Cloak. Cloak, looking around, you see the remnants of some things that are a little disturbing. The first is this massive scorpion-like creature. Or you think it's a creature, if not for the fact that it's made out of metal. It's been worn away quite a bit, but you can tell that there's lines etched into its metallic components. And besides this, you can also tell that although it's a lot smaller now than it was, it would have to be given the blowing of the wind and general erosion. You have no idea how long it's been here, but it must have been a while considering the state of everything around it. It must have been absolutely massive. And the metal and the lines together, putting two and two together with your knowledge, there's only one one major player in the wars that plague this entire galaxy going on that this could belong to. You don't know much about them. Not truly, anyway. But you do remember whispers of a race known as the Necrons. Living metal constructs that seek the extermination of all life, waking up from their tombs deep underground to come out and extinguish all life before them. The other thing that strikes you as odd, and Farashi, I'll give this to you too, given your race. You also spot some technology that's quite a bit more common, but not something that you would expect here, especially amongst the piles of everything. Farashi, you see the broken down remains of a wave serpent. You know, that's a kind of hover tank used by your disgusting Craftworld brethren. And Cloak, you would spot this as well. That there are Craftworld, although you're not sure which one specifically, there is a Craftworld wave serpent broken down. It no longer floats. It seems that one of its side propulsion systems has been destroyed somehow, blown off perhaps, and that's the little pilot's bubble is cracked. It looks like there may have also been a weapon on the underside, but it seems that something's ripped it off.
And for all of us as they're going through, he does his best as he can to spot out what might be worth something, either monetarily or towards his greater goals. Always better equipping himself as a merc. Perhaps putting together his own little private army to ease access to higher and higher grade of prey to evolve farther. So anything he might think better of going later on to come back to grab, or just avoiding entirely, like Necrons.
Yes, Necrons aren't good eating.
Yeah, no, just for the folks who are watching who might not be familiar, think like Magitech zombie mecha plague.
Terminator.
Yeah,
Just think Terminator.
Terminator. Yeah, that works. But
yeah, Magitech Terminator.
yeah, and unfortunately, whilst they're technically made of living metal, they themselves aren't living and don't have anything that you can adapt into your biology. So you've just learned to stay away from them because there's nothing that you can gain.
It's like don't poke the cursed mummy.
Yes, exactly correct. But these are the things that you see whilst you are traveling through the wasteland. And it's not too long it's a day trip, so it is several hours. Upon which you guys may take a respite if you would like. It's a long period of downtime lasting at least 6 hours. And you have people who can drive the vehicle for you whilst you rest.
Farashi will definitely take this opportunity.
Yep. So it'll go interrupted. Your shock will go back up to full, as will your wounds. And your wrath points, if you've spent any, are all reset to 2. You can find that on the main page in the top right-hand corner. And it would be after this respite that one of your witch devotees awakens you to tell you that you have arrived at your destination.
Very well then. And let's go and check and see what there is to see.
Could I get a repeat of that? My headset actually cut out there for a moment.
Farashi is stepping out to go see what there is to see.
Alright. Are any of you three following her, or are you going to wait until she comes back with a report?
I would. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
12 said.
Listen here, the Canadian takes precedent in the go-ahead battles. Go ahead.
I'm not Canadian, but thank you very much.
There he is.
I would have stayed behind, kind of keeping watch atop the rhino.
Yep, so you jump up on top of the Land Raider to keep watch. Alright.
Yep.
Cloak.
I suppose with one of us keeping watch here, then it makes more sense that I venture on out with, especially in case there's anything notable out there that might be worth scavenging.
Alright. And Gorshmak, what is it that you're doing?
Gorshmak also jumps down to follow along with Drukari and Kroot, leaving just one Kroot and the sisters remaining aboard the Land Raider.
Yes. So, what I would like is, as you three are searching, I will allow a teamwork test upon a... What kind of skill will fit here? Pretty sure investigate. Yeah, I will allow a teamwork on an investigation between Farashi, Cloak, and Gorshback. And from Puro, I'd like a perception. Sorry, perception? Sorry, awareness. So this one uses awareness. So, the way... Yep, no additions there, no additions there. Alright, so... Cloaks will be 2 with a complication. And Pirors is a 4, which gains you a glory. Okay, so... we'll start with Piror. Piror, you jump up atop the Land Raider and begin looking around with your senses. And you don't spot anything out of the ordinary per se. There's no... like, it's a ruined hive city. So, destruction and ruined buildings and the occasional skeleton of two of some unlucky soul who may not have been able to escape whatever happened here in time is not an uncommon sight. You do see, however, that as far as the routes through the city go, whilst some are blocked off, all of the paths that lead into the underhive of this place, what counts as the underhive, because, well, most of the top of this hive city's been blown off and scattered around the wasteland. You see that all the routes into the underhive of this place are really clear. Like, someone's been pushing stuff out of the way to keep them clear. Cloak. Now we'll resolve this investigation. You, Farashi, and Gorshmak begin searching around the immediate vicinity of the Land Raider, taking it in with your eyes, of which there is quite a bit to take in. A lot of it destroyed, but there's quite a bit to take in with your eyes. There is something that catches your eye.
I'm waiting for literally when it, jumps out and tries to get me in the face.
There is something. And...
Do I identify it as something biological, or is it the movement of objects?
There is the movement of objects first, but then you do sense something biological coming straight at you at high speed, and you can hear it getting closer as it comes. You can hear, and it's getting louder and louder and louder as it gets closer.
Do I get the sense it's a very large thing?
No, it's small. It's quite small.
I feel like I should duck.
Yes.
Just the way I feel like just the way this is being described, I feel like I would just quietly duck and not say anything to anyone else. Just see how this plays out. Oh.
What is your defense?
That's a very good question, which I will tell you when I remember where it is on this character sheet.
Combat is what you're looking for.
Oh, there. Okay, thank you. 1.
All right, so it will land. if you would like, you can go ahead and roll determination for me.
And that one is under. No, deception. How do I roll that, though?
Determination is also on the combat sheet, right-hand side, top right-hand side. You'll see combat initiative, melter, recover shock, and determination. You'll want the determination on the roll side.
Where on earth are you? I'm right in my combat tab. Where are you seeing it? I see the word determination, but it won't let me roll it.
So
there we go. Come on, there we go.
2. Okay.
Apparently, I just had to stretch the sheet out more.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Alright, so you.
I was just like, I don't see this. I'm going blind.
You will take a single shock. As this small thing comes flying out from somewhere on one of the ruins and hits you in the face with not with any weapon or anything like that. It's like basically.
I just got mosquitoed.
Yeah, you basically got mosquitoed, and it's more the stunning fact of it was large enough to be like at least the size of your head. And it kind of shook you around a little bit, more than any actual, like, damage per se.
Okay, no, I've seen some very big moths in my time. Yeah, I can see that.
And it, you can kind of hear it. You hear the sound of as it scuttles off somewhere. Farashi and Gorshmak, you kind of hear, like, you may not hear any sound from Cloak himself, but you may hear the sound of the loud thunk that occurs when this thing kind of barrels into Cloak's face.
I end up drawing my blade and it appear turning, ready to face on any enemy combatant or, well, anything else that might end up provoking my whimsy. What did I just see actually hit him in the face?
You can actually go ahead and make me an awareness as well, if you'd like. Both of you can. Cloak, you kind of got taken off guard by this thing.
Yo, I can't see squat right now. Who are you kidding? Perception, nothing.
Yeah. Alright, so 3 from Farashi. Gorshmak, if you would also like to... Yep, there we go. And that's you a glory for your troubles. So... Farashi and Gorshmak, you swear you saw some kind of small humanoid thing. Maybe about Farashi and Gorshmak, you both are quite tall. So it would mainly only come up to like your knees, kind of deal. It was about this small thing, maybe like 1.5 feet, 2 feet in height. Fly through the air like a cannonball, hit poor Cloak in the face, and then scurry off somewhere. You're not really seeing any more than that, but that's the kind of the basis of what you get. And you can hear it kind of screaming as it flew through the air towards Cloak's face.
When it scurries away, there's at first that thought of I had better remember to not forget that because that will be a problem later on.
Oh,
Um,
as it will.
as he feels is probably more immediate concern to deal with the now trained weapon.
Yeah, so you're all looking around, but that's the basis of what has happened.
And for those watching who don't know what cloak looks like, and the name is just think of like a dinosaur bird person had a baby with a xenomorph, and you'll pretty much narrow in on that visual aspect. And just taking this little tiny, like 3-foot person to the face.
Yeah, yeah. Give me just a moment. I need to very quickly check something on where they decided to put where I gain my ruin from. Where did they put it? It's fine, I'll look it up. But yeah, so you all train your weapons, beginning to look around as you've seen something, fly through the air and smack Cloak in the face. Thinking that you're not alone and that there might be something hostile out here, which is definitely not a bad place to, not the kind of place that, the nice, wonderful folk will hang out, if you know what I mean. What is it that you guys will do next upon your discovery of this possibly hostile entity?
Reflexively, the camouflage just kicks in.
Okay, so you were gonna get a camouflage?
Yep.
Well, should be at least an entertaining chase.
Alright, so I'm guessing you're gonna try and look for this thing, I would assume.
If I can end up catching it, which seems to be a high likelihood.
Yep. Gorshmak, you just saw the Yumi get hit. You just saw the bird Yumi get hit in the face with another Yumi? You think?
Gorshmak starts laughing uproariously.
Big Yumi get hit in the face by little Yumi. This wonderful. Yumi's fight for Gorshmak amusement.
And plants his staff in the ground, watching as the scurrying thing runs into the distance.
Alright.
I'm starting to like Gorshvac more. We have an understanding.
Alright. And Perrault, given what you scored on your awareness, you would see that this is what is going down.
Do I see the direction of the skittering? What has it?
Yes, you do. And Cloak, as you have both an Omnispecs and a hypersensitive quills, which give you an Auspex to 30 meters, you will also innately know which direction this creature is traveling, which is away from you and away from the Land Raider. Relative direction is southeast.
Which I will obviously convey to the party. And so far as the OmniSpecs allows me to do so, share targeting data to any weapons nearby that would allow it.
As far as data tethering goes, the only thing with a data tether at the moment would be the twin-linked las cannons and the heavy bolter aboard the Land Raider.
Not even a gun.
I'll keep that in mind for later.
But Farashi, it is shared with you that the creature is traveling to the southeast and fast. So if you wish to chase it, that will be the direction in which you are traveling. And I would need you to make me an athletics.
Question.
Not a great roll, but
Yes, what
It'll
is your
do.
question?
Actually, that might be inert by what Derek does, but can I determine its trajectory speed at this point, as it's yeeting off in the distance?
Given what you've got installed, yeah, you can determine that it's moving fast. Not so fast that it would be keeping up with vehicles fast, but fast enough that like its small legs and really fast run speed would kind of put it on par with a mixture of some creatures or you've heard from your Drukari masters about a very particular kind of Eldari called a Harlequin, and that with them and their flip belts, they can move about that fast, whilst pretty much dancing over the top of buildings.
So Shigara's people, then.
Yes, moving about as fast as one of those, but definitely nowhere near as tall or as stealthy or as
Laughing.
as one. But it's moving about as fast as one is. Although that's
Can I
not.
determine if it'll outrun the rover if I attempt to start it up?
No, it will not. But Farashi, as soon as you hear it's to the southwest, southeast. Yes, because that was my bad. I misspoke. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry.
You push off the ground and just fucking fly through the air. You're not even running at this point. You've pushed off the ground and forward so much so that your feet aren't even touching the ground. Blade poised and ready. Because as you guys can see in the box, Farashi just rolled 13 successes.
It's almost average, so it's a little low for my taste, but
It's a little low for your taste. Fuck me. You
get me extra XP.
I love that. That is great. But you push off the ground, and it's like you're under the effects of I forget exactly what that drug is called.
A shit ton of cocaine?
It is the Hypex. The one that augments the fast twitch fibers in your muscles, allowing you to move at far greater speeds. Except, it seems like you don't need it. It's just something has awoken in you and you're dashing after this thing. And because of how many successes you got, I'm not even gonna force you to shift for this. You can go ahead and make an attack with your Hekatari blade, because that's what you have drawn currently. And I will say that you will be at a +6 for this, as far as a situational modifier is concerned. Oh, did that go through, or?
I heard you, but
Did
I'm not the one.
you hear that one, Derek?
No.
You can go ahead and make an attack with your Hekatari blade with a +6 modifier. I've put the dice in and everything, so you just have to roll it.
Okay.
Because you are basically...
I'm rolling low again.
Yes, 12 and a critical. Well, that nets you a glory. Alright.
Wrath.
You're gonna
Glory
spend...
was progression, right?
Glory is the party resource, yes.
Okay.
You do get one. So the glory stuff is sorted on my end.
Okay.
It's in the turn order, which you should be able to see. But right now, go ahead and first go ahead and roll damage,
Let's see.
which will be the red die at the very end of the line, which is
That's it.
which is 13. Now I need you to go ahead and roll 2d6 for me because you crit.
Nah. I'm rolling below average every time.
40. Well, that's a 42 because it's a d66 technically. Need to go get my critical hit table, and it is a 42. That is... Here it is. 42. Vicious Vivisection. The fury of this blow causes horrific pain, dissecting pieces of the foe's body in a seed of carnage and woe. Effect is target suffers +1 d3 mortal wounds, so go ahead and roll a d3 for me.
Alright. Only a 1.
Yes. But you deal 13 damage with AP -1, and... Well... This thing isn't really wearing armor. And it's small. And it can't roll determination. Because it's not big enough to roll determination. You leap after it, and as you come up behind this thing, it turns around. And your sword comes down, your blade comes down in such a way that you straight up just butchered this thing. But not only do you butcher this thing, it's in such a way that basically it goes from living creature to pile of blood and organs with its skin perfectly peeled and folded on top in the matter of maybe what, like half a second, if that.
I believe it's at this point I start walking back to the group. And I end up casting the remains back to its initial target. There you go. Consider it a trophy.
Cloak. Farashi has come back with the pile of organs and skin, and it's even so thorough that there's a couple of different piles. There's the pile of organs with the skin folded on top, and then there's a pile of bones, completely stripped of all of their meat, and then there's a pile of meat. That non-organ meat. Muscle, pretty much. You don't think anyone's ever been so kind in offering you up a dish like this?
Well, and that's just it, is you know, they'd be able to see that the wings that he wears as a cloak kind of tense up, and as if he's resisting them lifting up to do almost like a cat about ready to just tear into some food with that bit of fur right up along the back. But he's so thrown off by the presentation that he's considering whether or not it'd be rude to say no or not, or what the consequences of the social interaction even means. So he's a little thrown off, but he's debating. He's gonna take it. But it's gonna be a very confused accepting.
All right. What actually, what's your like base charisma, base fellowship? Your base fellowship is that much. Okay. You would know that. Well, you are a recruit, and you have been offered. I mean, Farashi said it was a trophy, and that you get to keep it. So it's up to you what you do with it. And so long as you enjoy it, Farashi may not care. May not. I'm not going to speak for Farashi, but she probably won't care what you do with it. Of course, whether she does or not is actually up to Derek. But it's there.
Do I get the sense it's tainted meat at all?
No. Smells fine. Smells good, actually. The only thing that would make this better is if you had a fire to cook it with.
It'll be one of those moments where, and he's parroted this behavior before in dealing with like rogue traders, where he suddenly shifts into the formality of the interaction, and very graciously, a little bit of a bow, sort of thing, accepts, and then turns to the other Groot as if looking for guidance as to what to do with said meat.
Yes. Pure, you do see that from the top of the rhino that little thing has now turned into a pile of just well presented food to a creature that eats everything, almost everything. You are likewise in the thing that, wow, that's a nice presentation.
Yes. I will disembark the rhino
Yep, disembark the Land Raider, and
I'll approach the group so in a way that they can see me approaching. What do we have here?
as far as you can smell and your own senses are concerned, you don't know what it is. It smells kind of human-ish. You don't know what it is, but it smells good.
Who claimed the kill for this one?
Still holding the meat, and it's hard to read him because again, there's almost that xenomorphic quality to the bird face, but it just looks up at the one that presented him with said meat. Doesn't say anything, just physically gestures.
For Gorshmak's part, he's looking incredulously at Cloak and rapidly bringing his own fist to his mouth, munching up and down on the air ravenously.
Well, the Hawk seems to know what you want to do at the very least.
I mean, yeah. I'd be eating the crap out of this stuff if it wasn't for the sudden presentation of a social contract to go with the meal.
I think, Cloak, if you were offered that meal, it would be wise to consume some of it. It is a gift, it looks, from my situation atop the rhino. Yes?
I'm guessing you're deferring to Farashi with that question.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Gift? Really? At this point, she's simply moving on. Figure out what it is, and end up here telling me what else we need to end up concerning ourselves with. Given the wreckage we ended up seeing around here, there's at least some salvage for the orc so we can get to looting. And then maybe we'd be able to end up finding something that at least gets us on the appropriate track. I'm going to end up here seeing if there's anything else to end up here digging up. The thing came from this direction, yes? She starts walking like she's trying to backtrace where the hell this thing came from. It flew out of nowhere. It was flying at an incredible speed. It couldn't run that fast, so it had to have been thrown or launched. So
Yep.
it has a launch pad or somebody hurling it.
Yeah, no, you saw you did get an idea of its launch trajectory towards Cloak. So yeah, you can go ahead and track that. As you're looking around, I'd like you to make it awareness. But
I would have also handed Farashi the map for her to keep.
Okay, so Farashi also has the map.
Yes.
But
I imagine I have some like Omni specs info as it was coming in, so I've got pretty good ideas to where it came from, at least along its trajectory.
yes, you would know the direction that it came from, and that it came from. Basically, it came from the northwest. It hit you, and it ran in the direct opposite direction. It kept going along that path. But you are left with this meat, and you are told that it is a gift to you, and therefore it would be rude not to eat it. And Gorshmak himself, even Gorshmak is making gestures of eat it.
Oh yeah, no, he goes like it's in comparison to the crew he travels with, despite how Cloak tries to carry himself the rest of the time. This is there's a feral quality to this, and he just chews into this. The wings come up like a cat trying to defend the food bowl.
Yep. And you get to eating. I'm not gonna go into too much depth about that,
Oh, of course, yeah.
but you get the basic gist of going at a pile of meat, or a group of menial urchins going at a sack of potatoes.
Do you share your gift?
I imagine not at first, but yes, ultimately, there's again that almost feral quality to the whole interaction. But yes,
Then I will consume at least one chunk.
Yep.
Enough to mutate if needed.
There's not enough here to force a mutation. Mutations are a thing that you would take on ascension.
Right, okay.
On ascension, but as you eat it, it tastes like human, and you've had human before. Not that special kind of human that both of you have once eaten, but it tastes like human. But there's also something else a little bit off about it. Not in a way that it's bad, but in a way that it's like, oh, that's kind of unexpected. More like.
Is it corrupted or?
Nope, not corrupted or anything like that. It just compared to regular human and compared to Astartes, you could feel the underlying flavor profile that's the same, but that little extra is what's different. It's not a bad different. In fact, yeah, Bart something in one.
Did you guys just eat a squat?
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't a squat.
I was gonna say it sounded a little small even for a squat.
Yeah.
Wasn't a squat. But no, Bart got it in one. Basically, you basically got sriracha instead of Frank's Red Hot. Is what happened. It's still good, but it's different.
I
No, I wish I
assume.
had some Frank's Red.
Probably that.
I assume if we follow Farashi, we will find more to eat. Is that the plan?
I feel we shouldn't leave Farashi unattended either way.
Oh.
So following we will, and feeding we can.
I don't dissuade her use of weapons and other supplements. And her sisters are by her side.
Yes, you would see that
However-
they would be piloting the Land Raider to be a bit closer, a little more out of sight, just in case some like plunderer doesn't come by and like steal it.
Yes.
Do we
Oh,
really
I'm gonna-
want to let Varashi wander freely unattended, though, and have to potentially live with those consequences just by association?
You could see his eyes thinking of something. His maw opens for a half second, closes. Onward. As he
And
keeps
with that,
pace
I
with
take to the sky and camouflage.
Okay. So you'll be providing aerial oversight. Farashi will be
Yep.
doing ground stuff, and I have a awareness to resolve, which is a 3. Gorshmak. You have seen the 2 Kroot partake of the meat. Kind of enjoying themselves before they go to move on and follow Farashi's following of the launch trajectory of this thing that she then proceeded to carve up into bits. What is it that you do?
Gorshmak watches the 2 Kroots take a moment to debate whether or not they should fist mouthfuls of the meat into their maws. And when they finally partake of the gift proffered them by the Drukari witch accompanying them, he cheers loudly into the air, letting the sound travel across the desolate wastes ridden by softly blowing winds before moving off in pursuit of whatever thing might have launched this long forgotten meal along with the Drukari.
Okay. So there's some cheering, because I mean, you know, orcs like fighting and cromping and looting and all that stuff, but they also like feasting. With the fighting and the stomping and the looting be over for the day, the feasting is what's the best part, because it's the fighting but with food. And I mean, watching them eat, you could probably stomp a pint of squig off ale right about now. But you move forward, and Farashi, as you move forward first, as your eyes tick around for signs of where this thing that you carved up came from, whatever launched it, you spot the basics of as you move along, you spot the remains of a very hastily improvised, like, slingshot. It's literally just a massive piece of elastic bound to a piece of leather. Like, a massive piece of elastic kind of hooked between 2 strong supports of steel, and like a piece of leather kind of strapped on to this cable, this stretchy elastic cable. And you figure that this is probably how that whatever that thing was launched.
It's a terrible waste of a rack.
It is a terrible waste of a rack. You could have used this to make an improvised torture device, and yet they turned it into a slingshot. But
Wow.
it gives you an idea, at the very least, that you're not alone, and that there must be things around here hiding somewhere.
Wow.
Well, and this is the sort of trap I would use, in a jungle like this. So obviously, my thought is to look for signs as to who might have made it, how recently, where they might have gone.
Yes. Speaking of that, though, Farashi, you do see that there are only 2 paths leading out of here that would be out of your sight from where you were. And both lead into the Underhive.
Well, isn't that just fantastic? I take to the high ground to flag over the rest.
Yep. And Cloak, you would see the signal immediately from the Varashi. Gorshmak, you were kind of just a little way. You two were just a little ways behind. Gorshmak and Pure, you were just a little ways behind Varashi, so you'd also see this signal, signaling to reconvene. This is really more for the sisters' sake, who, after parking the Land Raider in a secure location, or at least secure enough in the desolate ruins of a hive city, come to join you.
I make my way down, perching myself somewhere up high, but close enough that I can converse without having to yell too loudly, but far enough away that I'm at an effective range with the rifle.
Yep. Okay. So, Cloak is perched up high, enough to be able to hear the conversation and chime in, but also enough to keep oversight with that Kroot rifle of his.
Well, it would appear that they ended up going down there, into the Underhive.
One of the other witches speaks up. I've heard tales of these Underhive things, where creatures lurk.
Perhaps we'll be lucky to find something that's good sport.
Well, I mean, we can only hope.
Well, if that's the case, go get the bait. I mean our compatriots.
Yes, of course. And by the bait, do you mean Gorshmak?
The rest of the party.
Yep. Yep. So one of the witches, as you guys are walking up, you guys are a little ways behind Varashi, and as you're walking up, one of the witches will approach you and say, apparently the things that shot the creature moved down into the Underhive. There may be quite a large number of them down there. You figured that must be where they're hiding. Little rat holes and such.
I'm gonna steal blatantly from Predator for a moment. Just because I imagine that's the sort of sound a giant bird, lizard, person thing would make. Overhearing the bit about bait, there's just that predator hunting noise is almost as if to object, but not too strongly.
Yeah. To show resentment, but not total disagreement.
Yeah, just like yeah. I hate you, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like I resent that statement. You're not incorrect, but I resent it.
I resemble that remark.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you.
I resemble that remark. I love that. But Gorshmak, you're hearing from basically as the switch approaches you and Pure, you're basically hearing that there's more of them in the Underhive. And if there's more of them, you know what that means.
Good old Crumpin.
As the witch approaches, Gorshmak moves from his long loping pace to hobbling on his weird boy staff, and upon hearing the news, his face breaks into a mighty grin. You hear that, boys? More eats!
And as you hear that, the Drakari witch, one of Farashi's devotees, kind of just looks at you with askance with this. Okay. Probably there's the mumbling of something in Eldare about stupid fucking greenskins, but
She would hear a reply back of, at least this one's partially sane. In Eldari.
She responds like, barely.
Just a simple nod. Are we going underground?
It wouldn't technically be underground. Not
No.
in.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wouldn't technically be underground, but you'd be going into the Underhive, and therefore, well, light then begins to become a little bit of an issue because there's not so much filtering in from the top anymore.
What sort of support are in the Land Rover?
What's up? What sort
What
of?
sort of supplies are in the Land Raider?
In the Land Raider, there's a whole bunch of different stuff, but really, you got some torches.
Okay, so we have stuff for light then.
Yeah, you got some basic human torches, and it's all human tech.
Very well. Into the hive, it seems. Do we need to light any torches?
They're battery powered flashlights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
a torch.
Yeah.
Not a torch. A torch.
Yeah, no, it's not so primitive that they're gonna make you light sticks with rags soaked in petroleum or whatever. No, there's
Promethium.
Now with the, do I see in the dark? I don't recall.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
That actually is a very good question. Do you see in the dark? Give me just a moment and I will tell you.
I mean, I know between the quills and the Omni specs, I've got a pretty good sensory data setup coming in. But,
Yes.
visually I have no idea.
Just see what the game has on light. This will actually be a attributes and skills awareness. It makes.
So that's a no.
Oh. Yeah, you were gonna have to make it, or you were gonna have to make it awareness, but basically it just modifies the difficulty numbers. for spotting stuff. Would you like to spend a
Make one as
wrath
well, or-
to re-roll?
Sure, why not?
Try and get some. You can just hit the re-roll button on the on the little chat box. Okay, so you got 3 successes, but you do complicate.
Oh my god! If it's another midget to the face.
No, it's not another midget to the face, I promise. So you start peeking down the couple of different roads that you've got that will
Oh
lead
yeah,
down.
no, I go camouflage and I full stock in there like a hunting predator.
Yep. To basically you're doing a major scout ahead, and as you're going through and doing this, you spot that there are signs of life down here. That there are creatures living down here. You can hear the hum of generators, like portable generators running lights and things down here. Now that you're a bit further in, although not in your current location, but you can hear the hum and you can hear see the glow of lights a little further down. But there's a thing that you don't see. And you kind of feel it.
Through the quills.
But actually, through your body.
Oh.
As you feel the top of your leg, like the top of your foot rather, brush and pull across something.
Well, I set off a trap.
And I would like you to make me a not dexterity, it'll be an athletics. Let me just see. Okay. So, here's what happens with this. You see that 2 massive chunks of concrete and steel fly out from either side as this kind of slam trap basically try and crush whatever is sets off the trap between them. And you do manage to avoid it. You manage to not get crushed. However, you do get clipped by the very top, and so whilst you don't take any damage, you are knocked prone. As it basically you get knocked to the ground, but manage to avoid the brunt of getting crushed between 2 massive pieces of concrete and steel. Pure, Farashi, and Gorshmak, you can hear the loud crash down the path to your where you are. It would be straight ahead. That leads into the Underhive. And it's a very loud crash, like it echoes back out. And you're pretty sure it probably would have echoed in too. So, if they weren't aware that you were if they weren't aware that you weren't here, like if they weren't aware that you were here before, they're aware now. They have to be.
and I'd like for the audience to know that I've made this character to be super, super stealthy.
Oh, you are
And,
you are super stealthy. It's just you also
and I
complicated
just,
twice in a row.
yeah, there's that.
I'm going to simple action draw my galvanic rifle.
Okay.
Swap the crude rifle for the galvanic off of his back, and then start approaching the sound carefully, watching the sides of the caverns, watching the sides of the walls, the ceilings.
Okay.
Methodical.
Yep. You can go ahead and make
Training.
me. You can go ahead and make me an awareness as well. Gorshmak, you see Pure. Gorshmak and Farashi, you see Pure swap the gun on his back for the more complex-looking rifle. The more complex-looking rifle on his back, and begin slowly making his way into into where you're sure Cloak must have gone. Alright,
And a 6.
you net yourself a glory.
Fully rich of the Lord.
Yes, so you may... Alright, so we'll start off with that and then we'll get what Gorshmak and Farashi are doing. You... You look around and you see the main kinds of traps, and you see the tripwire. It's a rather high set tripwire too. Like, given the size of this thing, it'd be at like neck height almost.
Does there seem to be a disarming device?
You could cut the wire and make it go slack. It also hasn't reset in any way, so there's still hanging from two pieces of wire, two massive pieces of concrete and steel, and a cloak lying face down, slowly getting up from kind of avoiding it as the dust settles.
I'll attach my chain bayonets to the rifle and help him stand up,
Yep, so Cloak,
cutting
you
the
have been...
wires as I move.
Yep, so you will get helped up by Pure Cloak. Now, Gorshmak and Farashi, what is it that you two are doing as the two slowly move forward and the loud crashing noise comes from within, from down the path?
Gorshmak watches the two Kroot make their way forwards and listens intently as the echoing sounds approach them and reverberate forward to whatever's lying beneath. The greenskin decides, as he begins to move forward, that this is clearly a call to battle, and his eyes begin to glow with the faint orange wisps of Wa as he contemplates his next move approaching the two Kroot.
Alright, so Gorshmak, you approach the two Kroot as they are helping, as one is helping the other up around this trap. Farashi, how about you? If you are saying something, you have been muted for a little while.
Well, I don't know about Varashi, but especially now that I know there are traps, I'm going to be very specifically going about disarming those when I can.
Yep.
I live in stealth right now. I live in camouflage mode at this point on. This
All
is
right.
just my home.
I'll keep that in mind.
Do you want me to roll like investigation or an awareness or?
I will get you to make a roll in a second. So,
Cool.
Rashi.
Simply stays behind the group. It's clear that the traps are set for taller individuals, implying that our biggest threat are those tiny little maggots that were throwing themselves at us. So, keep your head down, I guess, is the best precaution. Outside of that, don't be the first one to go inside. But I'm not going to tell them that.
Alright. So, I'm guessing you're following, but staying very well behind to let them set off the traps first.
Far enough here behind us to not let them suspect, but gives me at least a hearty chance to remove myself from the situation with the greatest of expedience.
Alright. So yes, Cloak, you may go ahead and make, it'll be an investigation now, as you're looking quite a large amount more closely, looking for clues of traps. 3. You do see up ahead that there is another tripwire set at about the same height as the last one.
I mean, obviously I pointed it out, but I'm debating with myself if I want to attempt to somehow disarm it from this distance. I'm concerned one of them is a rockfall trap and we'll have a blocked off tunnel.
That is definitely not a thought to keep in mind.
I suppose I will take shot from here and see if I can't somehow disarm it.
All right. So there are a couple of ways that you could try and disarm it. You could try and shoot the tripwire.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
So go instead of making this a regular attack, go ahead and make me a weapons, a ballistic skill, please.
Ew.
You can just find that on the skills tab.
Yeah. Ballistics. That would be a 5.
That'll be a 5. That'll be enough. You take a shot at the wire and hit it, causing another crushing trap to occur, just like the one that you barely managed to dodge. You managed to go ahead and set it off, but this one has an extra portion that the two crushing sides are pulled back into place by something, maybe some kind of winch system or something like that. But then you see a third thing come down from the roof. Some kind of hydraulic piston that ejects itself down and slams into the floor before slowly receding back up.
There's again that, and I wish I could so wish I could do it. I should queue it up on a soundboard. That predator noise from the movies, which I'm sure somehow comes across to everyone else around him. Of now he's going to enjoy killing them. Those little bastards.
Oh, rightfully so. They did just,
And from there I go about attempting to figure out how I'm going to get past the now reset trap.
yes. Or, if it's reset, if there's another trigger. And if there is, what that trigger is. But methinks that that can wait, as the group is slowly but surely beginning to discover the depths of the of the Underhive and what's in it, especially all these traps. And that we'll take a little break, and that we'll be back in 5-10 minutes to discover what else might be down here. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We will be right back. Alright everybody, and welcome back to The Gathering Presents Wrath and Glory, Howl of the Lost Part 1, across the Wastelands. So when we last left off, our ragtag group of misfits is we have started to delve into an underhive of this ruined hive city, which from their current climate is not only getting power from portable generators for lights and other things, but is also trapped against tall people. All the traps are aimed to hit tall people. You know, you figured that if there's something living down here that's short, that the traps would be suited for them, but no, it's suited for outsiders, so maybe they've always been expecting someone. You know, maybe they're always in anticipation of someone trying to come in and take their stuff or something of the like.
Would I, as a mercenary, know about what sort of races could be this height to, plant traps at this level? Something that they could duck under or be under?
I will allow anyone, because you're all skilled enough to possibly know these things. I will allow the choice of either scholar or medicae from each of you to figure out what species might be tall enough to, or short enough rather, to warrant setting these kinds of traps. Alright, Gorshmak got 1, Cloak got 3,
I got one.
Pure got 1.
Thank God, because I had no dice in that. Oh.
And Farashi...
That was awareness, right?
No, a scholar or medicae. Your choice.
Oh, scholar or sorry. Scholar or medicae. Not that it matters, so...
2 and a glory.
I know. God damn, last week was me winning all the glory. Now it's Derek.
Yeah.
You want to know what? Given on how my week goes, I'll gladly end up taking these small victories.
Yes.
Yes.
I will note though that your glory pool is almost full, because it caps out at 6. You're at 5 right now.
So we better start spending it.
Yep. If you'll want to start spending it, because remember, if you don't spend it during a session, you lose it. So.
Alright, and that's a group decision.
It is. There is a rule that you can spend it anyway, but you'll take a point of corruption for each one you spend, if the group doesn't agree.
Lovely.
So you could be greedy, but it'll cost you. Now, let's start with Gorshmak and Purok, because you two got the same result. Gorshmak, you know grots are this size. Squigs, some squigs are this size. Some Yumis are this size. But grots might be smart enough to do this, but squigs definitely ain't. And you're not seeing enough bolted metal and ramshackle like mech style preparations for this to be grot. So it must be some kind of Yumi. Peror.
Nope.
You know, there are literally hundreds of races.
Yes.
That would fit this size. Farashi with a 2, you figure that it must be some kind of short, stout species. You remember hearing stories of a race called the Squats, but they were very technologically advanced, and they wouldn't put together things so improvised. It would look a little better built. They also wouldn't be running off of generators that sound very suspiciously like the kinds of generators that the Monkai use. Cloak. With your 3, given that this is a hive city, that this is the underhive that they're living in, you figure that there must be some kind of abhuman strain living down here. Definitely not squats, but could be some kind of thing endemic to the planet, or maybe some really short ratlings. You're also not too sure, but you've got a better idea than everyone else that that's probably some kind of abhuman strain.
For a moment, the Astartes that he's eaten kind of comes through. Plus, just behaviors he's picked up from hanging out with rogue traders and whatnot. You hear an almost spiteful. All he utters is the word Xenos as he goes about continuing down the way, and that spiteful, almost resentful sort of way.
In the way that a regular member of the Imperial Guard or an Arbiter might say it.
Mm-hmm.
You can also, all 4 of you can also hear from deeper in the Underhive the sounds of cheering.
Language test?
No need, it's low Gothic.
Can we make out what they're saying at this point, or do we need to get closer?
They're not really saying anything much. It's more exclamations and stuff at this point. But you'll swear you heard some... There is one phrase that you did hear. Something along the lines of... Yes, celebrate Great Horde Rat Day!
Do I recognize that name? Or at least a title that could fit that day?
You're gonna need...
Also, yes, Derek. Yes.
You're going to need to go ahead and make me... You're going to need to go ahead and make me first a scholar test.
Yes. The player knows what this is, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Fuck me in the ass.
You do not know what that is at all. And that's a good thing, because if you had gotten successes and known what it was, I would have had you made a corruption test.
Oh, I know. I figured.
So, good for you that you don't know what it is.
No other test needed?
No other test needed. You have no idea what it is, but you hear, celebrate Great Horde Rat Day. In that voice, further down the tunnels, and cheering. There's not too much of the tunnel left to go either, before you start reaching lights.
I'd like to stealth forward. Of course, checking corners as I go.
Yeah, make me a stealth. In fact, all of you can make me a stealth right now.
Including the invisible one. Oh,
The invisible one
Blast.
gets major bonuses.
that's a 5.
Gorshmak gets a 3. Pure gets a 5 and a complication.
It's a 7, not including things like camouflage.
Yeah, so you're at like a minimum of like a 10. Yes, Farashi, if you are stealthing, if you could make me a stealth, please. Farashi gets 2. But of course, there's no need to sneak up on maggots. You'll crush them all the same. But
Does this really seem like I've ever ended up here performing a point of stealth approaches? No. It's part of the gladiatorial arena. You want the attention, the cheers, the spray.
Gorshmak stealth boy.
yes, exactly right. Exactly right on wanting the attention. If you're stealthing, you don't get the blood. You don't get the attention, the glory that you deserve. But you all sneak up, slowly but surely, and I need to make an awareness check of that. Actually, no, they're only at this.
Also, given. Usually use a bastard, yes.
Oh. Okay. Well then.
Oh no.
As you two are coming up, you come across this massive clearing. Must have been some kind of square in the Underhive. Whereupon a massive kind of like tree. It's not really like a natural piece of like foliage or whatever. It's crafted out of steel and other bits. But it's in the shape of a tree. And you can see that more of these like 2-foot tall potato looking things are cheering around the tree, and there's a guy, one of these things looks a little bigger, maybe he's 2.5 feet tall, standing up on a pedestal talking about Great Horned Rat Day and how it's coming up and how one might go about celebrating Great Horned Rat Day. But he stops. And he looks at the top, he looks up. And he sees Gorshmak and Farashi, at least. And there's quiet silence overwhelms the pack as they now just look at you. Tall ones. Do the taller ones celebrate Great Horned Rat Day? And you can see that he's kind of smiling, wide and toothy, and a little bit of a gap between where his teeth are, and the upper lip and lower lip. So kind of like this, like an open-mouthed grin, where the teeth aren't pressed together. And he's looking between the two of you, specifically between you, Farashi, and you, Gorshmak. Well, yes. Do you celebrate Great Horn Rat Day?
Farashi looks to Gorshmak and then looks back, just allowing Gorshmak to answer this. She's pretty sure the answer is about to become highly amusing.
Gorshmak, for his part, grins toothily at Farashi, and then starts to let power coalesce from his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, hopefully into a roiling cloud above their enemies as he tries to cast Decrunch.
Oh, you want to cast a crunch? Okay. Let me pull up the crunch. The easiest way to do this is going to be to go to page like 2, scroll down to the new powers, and go from there. But yes, you may cast the crunch. Go ahead and make your your psychic roll.
I'm not sure if that was the right roll.
It would be, but for some reason it doesn't want to. It is the right roll, but for some reason it doesn't want to work. So go ahead and just make me a psychic mastery.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what's causing. 8 and a complication. So you will succeed, but there is a complication on the psychic roll. So you will take a mortal wound from this. So you'll go from 13 wounds to 12.
Oof.
Yeah, let me just have a look at your psychic powers real quick. So I'll try it with a smite. Let me change that to there, and then back to here. Try it again. Oh, okay. So yeah, ignore that. I got it to work. Just make sure that with the linked attribute, change it to something else, and then back to willpower. And it should start working. But I'll take that roll. That roll that you did.
Over before rolling.
What was that?
Change it to something else and then back to willpower before rolling.
You should only have to do it once.
Okay.
But it does affect people. You do take a mortal wound. Affected enemies take 1d3 mortal wounds and are knocked prone. And then roll a d6 on an exalted icon. Repeat the power's effects, repositioning it as desired. You didn't get enough icons to do any shifting for potency, but go ahead and roll a d3 and then a d6. Alright, so they're taking... Yep, so you're not going to get an extra one out of this. And they're going to take a mortal wound and a knocked prone. Where did you target the... where did you target the big foot/fist of Gork/Mork?
with the heel coming down on the big smiley friend.
Okay, so a lot of the 5 of the smaller ones get crushed under the foot, killing them instantly, pretty much. You smush them into a paste. But the other one, he gets knocked prone. And he gets up. He managed to get up, and he looks. The tall ones do not celebrate Great Horn Rat Day. They must become sacrifices. And now we're going to enter an initiative. And what I am going to do is I am actually going to go ahead and I am going to spend a ruin to seize the initiative. You don't have to roll combat initiative. We're using the back and forth system. But I'm going to be seizing the initiative so that one of my threats goes first, and then one of you goes.
Yeah.
I believe I will do the same then.
Yeah. All right. It will cost you a glory if everyone agreeing to that.
Yep. Yeah.
Of course, Matt. Agree.
Yep. All right. So you are
Agreed.
going to seize the initiative. So Farashi, you can go first. All right. So Farashi, you are up first because you were the one decided to seize.
Yeah. I believe Farashi's going to switch over to her clave, and I am going to do an all-out attack on the one that is speaking. Because sacrifices, I love this idea. Let's go first.
Yep. So you want to do an all-out attack? Sure. Let me just grab the rules for all-out attack, so that you know what you're getting into by making one. Oh, it's gonna be like that.
I believe the term is blender.
Blend.
All-out attack. Embrace ultra-violence, throw caution to the wind, and put all of your effort into aggression. When making an all-out attack, you gain +2 bonus dice to your melee attack pools, but you also suffer -2 to your defense until the start of your next turn. You can't take a multi-action if you all-out attack. You can multi-attack as part of an all-out attack. All of your attacks gain the same bonus. Multi-attack is if you're targeting multiple targets at once, but considering you're targeting just one target, just the all-out attack.
I think there's nothing else in reach. They have been thoroughly smushed, so yes.
Yes.
So single attack +2.
It is a single attack with a...
For some odd reason, I remembered it being you can do multiple attack actions.
You can against multiple targets, but you take a +2
Okay.
for each. But it's a +2 modifier to the attack, so yes.
Okay.
It is on your clave, so... Dice is set up.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong one. That's the, you put that in the attack mod box. That's, adjusting the numbers on the dice. You want the BD box, which is bonus
Okay.
dice. And that'll be at a 2, and then you can go ahead and make your attack. Until the start of your next turn. And you crit. So that's 8 with a crit. So you'll be treated
And,
as defense
glory.
2. Yes, and a glory.
I'll be as treated as defense 5.
Defense 2, because you take a -2 to your defense for all out attack.
Oh no, I'm thinking. Wasn't it? Or is it resilience that ended up changing? I think it was resilience because of the Drakari bit.
Oh yeah, that's determination. That's determination.
Okay.
That's your
Alright.
soak against wounds. because it also allows you to
Alright.
soak against mortals, which is like really good. So long as you're not immobilized or restrained. But so Anish, first off, go ahead and roll me 2d6 because we need to discover what your combat crit effect is.
I'm presuming higher numbers are better.
Yes and no. So
55.
55. Oh, okay. So you do strike him. So go ahead and roll your damage on your clave.
Now, here's a question.
Yes.
How many dice can I move over to damage? It says 2, that I have 2 right there. I believe they can be shifted over.
Yes, you can. Because you will still hit. You will still hit if you shift both over. So you can shift both over to add 2 extra dice if you'd like.
Okay. So damage bonus dice.
Yep. DBD will be 2.
Okay.
And then hit the red damage button. 18 damage. Now, go ahead and roll a D3 plus 1 for me, please.
I cannot roll
2.
more than 1.
2. So, what you do is this. You strike him, and the blade embeds into his flesh. And you deal massive amounts of damage. But not only do you do that, you look at him, and you see that what he's wearing is flammable. Very flammable. And so what you do is the clave is a power field weapon, and as such, you make a quick adjustment and overcharge the power field. The critical hit effect that you rolled is Crimson Ash. The attack sears into the foe, fusing flesh into a charred ruin. The assault wreathes the target in burning fury, making a smoldering mess of sinew and bone. You set him on fire. And now, I'm going to spend a moment to roll determination.
I am going to end up calling that as a way to end up helping out with the ambiance. We were talking ritual sacrifice. It was a little dark in here to make sure that the spectators could truly appreciate the sacrifice being made. I consider this assistance to Great Horn Rat Day. I hope they appreciate the gift.
And he does actually have a very high determination pool. And he will be netting 7 on that. He's taking 2 wounds and is on fire. That's
only 2?
That's
after 18 points of damage?
Oh no. That's just the critical hit effect. That's the definite he's not saving against that. This is just what happens before the determination roll.
Okay.
Now with his determination roll, 18 with an AP of -3, he would be taking 13 damage due to his resilience of 5. He normally has resilience 8, but you knocked that down quite a bit. And then he'll get 7 successes to knock that down to 6. He's taking 6 wounds, which hurts a lot. Like, there is blood pouring everywhere, or there would be if he wasn't on fire. Now, give me one moment. I must look up what the on fire condition does. Probably something about damage and whatnot. Conditions. On fire. Alright, so you're on fire. You take 1d3 mortal wounds at the start of each of your turns. You may then use your action to throw yourself prone and roll around with a DN3 athletics test. If you succeed, you are also not on fire. Okay. Alternatively, you can attempt to ignore the flames and take your turn as normal. Make a DN3 willpower test. If you fail, you are hindered. Alright, so it is his turn. And he's going to attempt to make that test. He's going to attempt to make that test to try and do something. And he is going to make that. So he is going to attempt to do something to you, as you are the closest one who set him on fire. He's going to cast this Unbound as you hear him chanting, Great Hard Rat Day, Great Hard Rat Day, Great Hard Rat Day! And you see this massive pillar of energy come raining down upon you. He needs to make himself a casting test. He is at this. These are his regular dice, and he's getting 3 successes on those. He's casting this at a completely unbound. So these are his Wrath dice, because you add Wrath dice if you're casting at a much higher power level than usual, because you're opening yourself up to the warp. Okay, I need to actually have a look at something about Psychers. The warp. Psychers. Warp storms, gaining psychic powers, yada yada yada. Okay, potency, transcendent. So he's gonna be taking 2 shock immediately from this. Now 1. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I also need to roll a 2d6 for him. Uh-oh. Right, let's have a look at the table here. He rolled a 54. Okay. Gorshmak, I need you to make me an intellect test, please. And he needs to make one as well. And he's definitely not passing. In fact, he's going to complicate. So... Gorshmak, you are going to take 2 shock and a staggered as the visions of possibility from the backlash of this might that this thing is casting, the droning kind of shocks you. He's taking 3 shock for this. And last but not least, he got 2 icons he can't shift. Where are the things? Dumb but it looks, so I will go ahead and grab that off Gorshmak's seat because he has it. Powers. Scroll down to there.
Gorsh Mac also wants to know where to add his sacred status.
It's a keyword that he has. It's already sorted.
Okay, cool.
3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, that's 6. So he is going to manage to knock this off. So he does get to roll a D3 mortal wounds against you, Farashi. However, you get to roll determination against these. Yeah, go ahead and roll determination against a single mortal wound. As he tried casting a smite on you, and there's probably a very good chance that you're going to flip straight out of the way of this. Oop. Did you hear me, Dirk?
No, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, you're currently taking a mortal wound. Go ahead and roll determination against it because you can, thanks to your Hekatari ability.
Okay. Alright, let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, no, you basically, he rains this beam of green light upon you, but you just flip out of the way. Like, and he's kind of looking at you. He's like, you do not celebrate Great Horned Rat Day. And now it is one of the other 3 agents' turn. So, Cloak, Pure, and Gorshmak. Which of you would like to go next?
I mean, should the other 2 not have a preference? I can go ahead, but it'll be nothing fancy.
Go ahead
If it's
and
not
make-
broke, don't. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Hit something in the head with the butt of my gun again while invisible. Or camouflage, more or less. Worked on the last guy.
It did. Unless Gorshmak has anything that he wishes to do in the interim, as you are hidden. So it'll be up to you whether you want to break that stealth.
No,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
please hit away.
If I recall, it was weapon skill since it's using my gun as a club. This is what it was in the arena.
Alright. So, yeah, so you were looking to hit him. Go ahead and make... This'll, again, just be a weapon skill. Because you don't actually... Because it's not a... It's an improvised melee, so you just make a weapon skill.
It's not a club, yes. That would be a 3 to hit him with the butt of my gun.
A 3 to hit him. Yes, that will get past his defense. Go ahead and make me... go ahead and roll 1d6 for extra damage.
Womp womp.
Yep, so that'll be 4
That'll be
damage. It'll be 4 damage because it's counted as icons. So that one's a fail. So yeah, it's 4 damage. Considering he's distracted right now, and his resilience cut down by that much. You do bonk him, and you'll cause him to take a shock. But you don't manage to, it seems like maybe he's got a little bit of psychic buggery going on. And your rifle butt doesn't maybe hit as hard as you think that it might as you swing it. Now it's going to be the mob's turn, because there are a couple of these things left that aren't the big guy. And they start walking towards you, Gorshmak, chanting in an almost otherworldly sense. Eat the tall, become the tall. Eat the tall, become the tall. All for Great Horned Rat Day. And they're going to attempt to gnaw at your legs. Oh my. What is your defense?
2.
So yes, they are going to hit with a 5. And they will shift to 1 icon for extra damage. One success. What is your resilience?
11.
Your resilience is 11?
It says 11 out of 4.
Oh yeah, no, you are like super resilient, aren't you? Yeah, because you're an orc.
Gorshmak's strong.
Yeah, because it's normally 7. Yeah, so they gnaw on your legs, but you don't even feel it. They don't even manage to crack the barrier required to even deal you a shock. They're just gnawing on your legs. Kind of tickles. Now, Gorshak or Pure, who would like to go next?
Would you do the crumbling bark?
Yep.
1 second, I'm just looking at my situation.
Oh, yep, that's fine.
No problem. If you wish to do the crumpins, I can wait a turn.
Since I'm just being nibbled here, I'm actually going to defer until the final.
Oh, all right. So
Okay.
it'll be Pure and then Gorshmak
Yeah.
to round out the round. So Pure, you are hidden. You are seeing Gorshmak's ankles being gnawed on by these things, and Farashi dodging a psychic blast from this crazy thing with this massive grin, chanting "Great Horned Rat Day" at the top of its lungs in its stupid voice, whilst bleeding and very on fire.
Okay. Do I have to take an action if I just want to take all this in for a half second?
Well, what was that? What is it that you wanted to do?
I want to take this in for just a half second of all the chaos.
You may.
Just like maybe 10 physical seconds of, wow, this is chaos.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You can do that. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Oh hell yeah! We will also level our galvanic rifle.
Where you leveling on that?
Which one to me seems like the bigger threat? The nibbler or the magician?
The The little
Looks
ones
like
are
Grammy.
nibbling. The little ones are trying to nibble on Goshback, but they don't seem to be hurting him. The other one, you're pretty sure, did something and is still chanting Great Horn Rat Day at the top of his lungs, whilst he has this massive, massive gash from not only from Farashi's clave, but also the fact that he's really on fire and is still just chanting Great Horn Rat Day at the top of his lungs, not even worrying about the fact that he's on fire.
I'm gonna take a galvanic rifle shot.
Sure, go ahead and roll galvanic rifle
can.
shot. Yeah.
If I can I make it a cold shot or no?
You can make it a cold shot, but the DN goes up for cold shots.
Okay, what do I increase the DN for that? Because I do want to make that a cold shot.
I basically,
Okay, you can do that for me.
I account for it. Just give me a moment because Adobe is being a brat, like it likes to be, and so I just need to get to the cold shot modifier to know that I'm modifying it by the right amount.
Yes.
This will be action, attacking. It'll be ranged attacks options. Combat modifiers. Size categories, vision penalties. Alright, yeah, so nothing as far as cold shots go. You can take the aim cold shot, here we go. DN penalty based on the size of the target based upon the cold shot table. What would you like to aim at? Like, are you gonna try to aim for an arm or a leg? Are you aiming for a hand or the head? Or are you aiming for like an armor joint or an eye slit or something like that?
Where is his wound?
It's on his chest.
We are aiming for dead center of that wound, so chest.
Oh, so dead center of the wound?
Yes.
For the dead center of the wound, given the size of the wound and how deep it is, I will say that this would count as a medium target. A small target rather. So you'll be taking a +2 penalty to DN, but you'll gain +2 damage dice if it hits.
Okay. So roll
Go ahead.
for attack.
Yeah, go ahead and make your attack. Two. That currently will not hit, but you can spend a route to reroll.
I will reroll. I'll hit the reroll button.
Yep, hit the reroll button. An
4.
extra 2 for 4. That will hit. And Galvanic Rifle has... Your hand... Alright, you don't want to do that, that's fine. Rapid Fire and Rending. Alright, you have no Exalted Icons to shift, but you do get Rapid Fire dice. So... that'll mean you get these. Go ahead and roll your damage. Try that one more time, because that didn't roll the extra dice. Try that again.
There we go.
Better. Now, I will have a ruin of roll determination. I just need to, give message below her food.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, with that, he is going to go ahead and roll determination. I'm going to spend a ruin to do so. and he has his AP 0, so he actually has this for the I believe that his determination roll is that. Yes, that is his roll. All right, so oh no, it's this one. 5, 6, 7 successes, and with his thing, he manages to tank all of that, but you've exhausted him. So he takes all. He's taking pretty. He would, with his resilience, he would reduce that 14 to 7, and then he got 7 successes. So he's taking 7 shock, which will actually overflow and make him also take a mortal wound. So he'll be taking 1 mortal wound, and he is at 0 shock and exhausted.
As I empty my, clip or round, whatever you want to call the magazine.
You basically hold down the trigger and shoot the massive arc of electricity at him. It doesn't actually reduce the amount in the clip, because that only happens if you run out of ammo and have to reload, or if you end up using a salvo option on a weapon, and that also forces a reload.
Okay. As I blast him for multiple arcs.
Yes.
I'll call it to Gorshmak.
Yes, Gorshmak, it is your turn.
Krumpa!
This guy is still alive. He's exhausted, but he's still barely alive.
Do they
You'll hear the word crumpled?
Do they get a round in between his and mine?
No.
No, they don't, because there's only 2 threats: the mob that is currently gnawing at your feet, and him, and they've both gone.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for them.
Do it, Gorshmak.
What would you like to do? You've got some little ones nibbling on your ankles and tickling you, and you've got the big guy still on fire, and now being electrocuted.
I know that I have the staggered keyword. Am I still able to move with that?
Your speed is reduced by half. You can't run or sprint unless otherwise stated. It lasts until the end of this turn.
Am I able to get closer to the rattling thing than I am to the little nibbly friends I've made?
They are right on top of you. So technically, no. You can get closer to him if you'd like, but you won't be able to make the full way to him.
But he would be closer than they are currently?
They would be about the same distance from you.
Okay. Well, I'd like to make that move and then use the growing power of the Wa that's been compounding in my skull to cast Edbanger against the flaming will-be filet mignon we're facing.
Alright, you want to cast Edbanger. I figured that's why you were asking. So, we do this, we do that, we go back, we do this. Go ahead and roll your Edbanger. Oh, it manifests. You can even shift one of those icons to make the toughness test harder.
I would like to.
Alright, so he's gonna make a toughness test. He doesn't have a lot of toughness, if I'm being honest with you, so... He needs a 4 on this test. He gets a 2. So, Farashi,
Yep.
you are going in to make a move against him, as it going back to for another slice, where you see him great hard rap pop. You see his head explode, like someone put a cortex bomb in his brain and set it off. Explode, covering you very thoroughly with bits of blood, skull, eyeball, and brain, some of which is still just a little bit on fire. It doesn't hurt you, but this reminds you of that time that one of the slaves that was brought to the gladiatorial arena for you to fight actually just so happened to explode just like this, minus the on fire bit.
Yes, unfortunately, when you end up deciding before the match to end up placing an ever-expanding Freudian earwig into the ear canal of said victim, it apparently high stress, especially that of dying, tends to end up causing it to rapidly expand to full adulthood, leaving very little room for brainstem or skull at that point. Still, it was amusing, and I'm very grateful. Better times, better memories.
That is the end of combat. As you are... Oh, that tickles me pink. That is the end of combat, as the little ones are like, no, Elder. You ruined it. You ruined Great Hard Rat Day. And they kind of run off and away.
I'll show them. There's always next year. Yes, yes.
Oh, look at them, scattering like frightened little angels. I turned to one of my sisters. Spare no one.
And the witch that your devotee that you say spare no one, her face just splits into this grin, and she's like, "Of course, ma'am, spare no one. Ladies, juice up. We're going in." And you hear this maniacal cackle as you see each of them take a shot of Hekatari combat drugs and start flying at high speed through the streets. And the screaming starts pretty quickly. Along with the maniacal cackling, of course.
I see your sisters are having fun there, Farashi. I thought you liked slaves instead of corpses.
I mean, pure, with their small size and not very strong toughness, they really probably wouldn't make good slaves. They die too quick.
In that case, all the murder. I'm going to examine the corpse of the big one, the quote-unquote Eldar.
Oh yes,
Eldar.
the Elder, yes. So you go over to examine his headless, now smoldering,
Charred corpse.
charred, kind of partially Y-sectioned corpse. Yes.
Anything of note from the corpse?
He's covered in some jangly bits that didn't get destroyed in the fire.
I'll tear him off of him.
Otherwise, no,
Those
not
bobbles
really. He smells good though. It's rare that your food comes pre-cooked.
I will greedily take a leg off. Use my claws and just right at the joint, just split it. I'm taking enough to either shape myself or I am just eating this thing. There's enough small ones for everybody. And more being slaughtered.
And, considering you've now had this species both raw and cooked, cooked is better. There's a complex richness of flavor, and I didn't think that I would ever be explaining what a small potato strain rattling would taste like, but here we are.
Fucking rattlings, man.
Yes, there are a particular strain of rattlings. There are also, like, regular-sized rattlings with more rat-like features, and those are the ones that are employed in the Militarum Auxilia.
Yes. As snipers, usually, or cooks.
Yes, snipers and cooks. No, these ones are potato strain. They're little gremlins, and, well, there are a large number of them now dead, and more being added to that pile every moment by Farashi's order.
What does the flavor taste like in my DNA? Does it seem compatible?
Compatible with human. As I said, there's still that human flavor, so that would be what you would get out of it.
I will shape change if I can. Or shape.
Yep. So basically, what that would mean is that if we were to ascend,
Yeah.
you would receive. You would be able to take human eater. But
Yep, that's fine.
what would happen though is, as you are eating it, just to show like the little bit of changes, because we're not going to end up ascending in this short game. What'll end up happening is, well, actually, no visible change.
How about a mental change?
You feel a little smarter. Not enough to justify a point of intellect, but a little smarter. Your scales also seem a little nicer.
Intelligent rat. Oh.
Before he takes a bite, Gorshmak approaches Parar and claps him heartily upon the shoulders. Pre-fried, huh? Good eats. He surveys the battlefield, looking for anything else he could pick up.
You will hand him the baubles off of the corpse.
These baubles will go into your collection of jangly bits, Gorshmak. They'd be perfect for that.
Yes.
Gorshmak very quickly begins to weave them into his already vast collection of jangling baubles, eyes alight with the power of the law.
And after you do that, there's something that strikes you, Gorshmak. Not this one here, but the rest of them. The rest of them have teeth.
Teeth.
Teeth is money. You could buy yourself when you get back to the Planet Smasher, you could buy yourself a big pint of Squig-off ale for these teeth.
Gorshmak sets himself readily to the task of smashing out the teeth of those he's felled before.
I'll help him collect the teeth. Seeing that that's his goal, I'll help him, slice off the jaws, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real art to it, especially since, it's an orc doing it, but...
Yeah.
Farashi...
Just to preserve as much tooth as much.
Oh, yeah. But Farashi and Cloak, this is what you see. The corpses of several little things. The big one that got very severely cooked, whose leg is being gnawed on by Pure. Gorshmak weaving in the janglies and then moving to collect the teeth. What are your thoughts at this current moment?
Well, given the scenario and one could say chaos with the sisters murdering and the way that Cloak is, I suppose there's that scavenger predator behavior that kicks in where I had thought I would want to collect teeth as well, but as there seems to be a demand for that, I'm searching for any credits that they might somehow have, any currency, anything that might very easily exchange into currency. And while I'm looking to do this, I'm searching for indicators as to, I suppose, the culture. Are there tattoos, any similar marks a bunch of them might have, that sort of thing?
No, not really as far as culture is concerned. As far as, credits or anything that might convert easily, not on their person. But they do have...
Well, in that case, free
they
meal.
do have homes. And you could always go home searching. Follow the path of the destruction of the Drakari witch cult as it burns and slashes a path through this part of the Underhive. You could always go ahead and search and see, if they had anything, or if, well, you're sure these weren't the only residents of the Underhive at some point. Maybe somebody else who used to live here left something behind. You could always go ahead and do a search.
And the hopes is that one, I'll find something salvageable, but two, clues as to where our quarry or target might actually be, if it's down here at all. Maybe they've turned it into an object of worship or something. So the hope is I'll find something useful and information on our target.
All right, yeah.
I will go home. I will go home searching.
All right. Go ahead and make me an investigation. And while you do that, Farashi, what is it that goes through your mind at this point as you go ahead and survey the carnage of your sisters and the weird tendencies of your current traveling companions?
At this point, looking for evidence of the item in question that we are to be seeking. Better to know its exact location, know exactly where all the fighting and scavenging will occur. They're looking for loot, we're looking for more play dates in the arena. Unfortunately, perhaps I've gone to be too hasty at this moment, slaughtering them all. Might have left one or two alive, at least for questioning.
Oh yes, your sisters would have kept something alive.
This is what happens when you are not operating at your best. My sisters went right for their combat drugs, and me, I couldn't even relish this kill as it was just too sobering.
And such a shame that is. Cloak, you start searching home to home, and you do find some things that you could easily convert to credits. And you find some actual Imperial currency. You also find an old school Departmentum Munitorum request form filled out for a single melter rifle. Melter rifle? Let me just see that real quick. Should probably be a melter rifle. It might just be a melter gun, but
Either way, I'm always on the lookout for better gear. Equip myself for small armor.
Melta. Oh.
Stealth Melta.
oh yeah, no, it is a melter gun.
Either way. That just tucks away into the satchel system on the belt.
Like, you don't know whether you'll get it,
Since we
but
don't.
you could try.
Oh no, but at least I have the form for now.
Yeah. That is true, you do.
Like I
And-
said, always on the lookout for better equipment. So
And the last thing that you find that's of really any, like, major value is you find a key. The key is very obviously non-human. Although,
are we talking like an old school key or like a high tech computer data shard key?
like a mix between the two. It's not really like a computer data shard, but it very obviously doesn't look like human make.
Hmm.
It seems to have a soft blue glow to it.
Well, I don't know if it's related to our core array, but I imagine that given that it's different enough, there's a likelihood. So I'll just tuck that away and rejoin the party.
Alright. And as the sisters finish up and bring along one or two of these little potato-looking mofos for questioning, as Gorshmak and Pure, you finish your teeth collection slash food connoisseuring Epicurean pursuits. And Cloak, as you return from your investigations and looting of the homes, these ramshackle homes belong to these little potato ratlings. I think that will be the perfect place to call the first episode of Wrath and Glory to an end for this week.
I'm down. Sleep.
Wah!
I agree, because it is getting late. It's 12:30 for Central users.
Yes, it is. But I think that works out perfectly for us, and we can start with the interrogation slash exploration of Cloak. If you share what's up with that key, the exploration of what that might entail next week.
Now, especially just for reference, your new Melta is on your person. Is it visible or is it?
Oh no, it's not
not
even a weapon.
It's
like
not
a
even a weapon.
request
It's a
form.
request form to the Departmentum Munitorum for a melter
Okay,
gun.
I misheard that.
Yeah, no, it's
You garbled out. I heard the words request, find, Melta, and I'm like,
Oh, I
Oh,
wish.
nothing.
I need something other than my Kroot rifle. I need a melee weapon for one.
how many of
Yes.
those bayonets do I have, Derek? Gavin?
One.
Never mind. I was gonna share.
But no. As
Yeah,
far
we're good for next week.
yeah, I'll let that set up for next week, and it also means that you may be able to send off for that melter gun and get it. Because I mean, it's a Department of Munitorum request. You might be able to send that back to the Excortia to House Arley, and then maybe they might be able to provide you with the weapon that you want, because it's a real request form.
Can I also use my influence with the Adeptus Mechanicus?
That will help you get access to Adeptus Mechanicus weaponry, but you'd have to like make a call to a Forge World for something like that. And there's
we'll
no
discuss
guarantee
that
that
next
they'd
week.
even pick up, let alone anything else.
We'll discuss that next week. We can.
Yeah, we can have a talk about that off screen. But
Yeah, just let me know.
for now, that is all from us here. This part of the presentation is over, and we will see you next week. First for the next episode of Prison by Night River City Secrets, but of course for the next episode of Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory, Howl of the Lost. Say goodnight, everybody.
Yeah, Jim Bob.
Good night.
Howl of the Lost!
I love that.
Hang on, Bart.
That's great.
Good night. Good night, eh?
Good night, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Canadian.